What's up, Macon-Bibb? It's Edna Adams.
And Olivia Walter.
And you're listening to
Macon It.
What's up? Happy October.
Yes, we made it to October. I mean, it was a wild end of September.
Yeah, I was really am looking forward to fall vibes, but Mother Nature decided, no, we're not done with hurricane season.
No.
And I mean, she's right, because hurricane season is not over yet.
Yes, and it was like they knew right when we were planning the emergency preparedness fair.
Yeah.
To come in and be like, hey, you guys have been talking about getting your preparedness kits ready. Let's make sure you guys have been doing that.
Mm-hmm. We're really fortunate that it didn't cause as much damage to us. Now, we did experience a lot of downed trees and power lines, and a lot of us, including me, experienced no power for a few days, but we are so grateful for all of our crews who worked so hard and rapidly to get our community back.
Yes, some of those crews were working overnight and long shifts to get out there, clear the roads.
Yeah, our crews worked really, really hard and just nonstop. It was amazing. We've got such an incredible team and everyone just working together, because I don't think people understand the behind the scenes of, okay, it's not just a tree that's down. So we were in the bunker, what we call the Emergency Operations Center during the hurricane and, after that. And just to see how the public works crew was working with Georgia Power, was working with the fire department to make sure that we cleared those trees, was working with BSO to make sure that we cleared the trees, but also avoided the power lines, but also made sure that traffic was well. Like, it's a lot that goes into it from different parts. Just a huge shout out to all of those crews. You know who you are. And yeah, our fire department was also part of making sure that that response was well. Now, they did head over to Valdosta to help out there. And, we were fortunate that we were able to send some of our crews out there and help out with some of that disaster. Our fire department is amazing. Can't say enough.
Yeah, that Class 1 department, the only one in Middle Georgia.
Yeah. Speaking of, we talked about fall vibes, and we're almost there, I think. I mean, that little cool air in the mornings, it makes me just want a pumpkin spice latte, but it also makes me want to start a fire. And we can now do that because the burn ban has been lifted. So
s'mores.
Yes, s'mores, bonfire. Of course, be responsible as you're doing all of this. You know the drill. We have an amazing fire department, but we don't want to use them for, absurd things. So be responsible as you are making that bonfire and all the things. So funny enough, well, not really funny, but one of our newest fire department members or firefighters happens to be a son of our guest.
Oh, yeah. He's a recent graduate.
Yeah, which is amazing. I think it's so cool. Our guest that we are going to hear from here shortly also has some experience in public service and was very vital to our E911 center. So he's awesome. His son is awesome. And without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from our county manager, Dr. Keith Moffett. What's up?
What's going on?
How's it going?
I tell everybody when someone asks me how I'm doing, I say I'm living the dream. I am living the dream.
I have heard you pick up the phone and when you answer, it's living the dream.
It is. Like the community I grew up in, I get to wake up every day and come to work with some great people. I get to pick up the phone and have people yell at me all day. So I'm just living the dream.
Living the dream. I was going to say, can you define the dream?
Yeah. Well, the dream is, I think everybody has the same dream when we talk about community and government. We just want the best place to live for our families. We have that tagline, live, work, and play. Mm-hmm. And, it's more than just words. People want to really be in a community that's one that's safe, that provides opportunities for their families. And, I jokingly say that, Macon is much like a lot of the other communities outside of Atlanta, where we're stuck between being a suburb of Atlanta and being Mayberry, where we want all the big city life experiences, but we still want the small town where we drive down the street with our hand out the window waving at everybody, where you know your neighbors, you know everything. And but again, you want to go to the big city game, or you want to go to the mall. So we want all those big city things in a small town. So I think the dream is that, how do we find that happy medium place to where we have that easygoing. You can walk down the street, you can wave at everybody, but at the same time, you have a good job that provides you the income to allow you to do those things. And so I think that is the dream that we have for Macon.
But you grew up here. So growing up here, what was it like, and how did your dream evolve even from being a kid?
Well, growing up here, I grew up on the east side of town, where Macon is, divided by the river. So we call it the east side. I went to the Northeast High School, class of 89. And, we didn't come across the river for anything except to go to the mall. And so growing up here, it was that I just knew that part of Macon. And so when you think about City Hall, I remember being in the third grade and Mayor Robinson came to the school, and I was able to give him the tour of the school and everything. That was my first exposure to government. So I always remember Mayor Robinson in that regard. And so when I finished high school, I went into the Navy. I wound up coming back home, and I took a job on the base. And growing up in Macon, if you worked on the base or YKK or Bryan and Williamson, you consider rich, your family's considered good. So that's kind of what you grew up to. We're talking about living that dream. You kind of grew up that dream of getting that good job
That
and
was the
coming
dream.
back. That was
Yeah.
the dream. And so Bryan and Williamson was gone. So I took my job on the base, and I quickly learned that my personality is not one where I can sit in a cubicle for 8 hours.
We were just talking about that the other day.
So you
can't do
got
that.
So you got to know who you are and what motivates you, and and just having a job and a paycheck, but you can still have a career, something that you like doing. And so I joined the military for educational purposes. So when I got out, I was finishing my degree in Middle Georgia State. It was Macon State at the time, but Middle Georgia State. And I took an internship at the Chamber of Commerce, and that's why I fell in love with economic development. Working there with recruiting business and industry into the community. This was in the early 2000s, where we were going from feast to famine, where we were doing that transition of figuring out what our anchor services were going to be, and it was logistics, aerospace, manufacturing, and call offices. Because we had the big Geico and things like that. So done that. I think I've done it well, because then I was recruited to work for the state, and I did the 11 counties in Middle Georgia.
Okay.
And so, I was on the road here, and people say, oh, you traveling, but, I'm really traveling in 11 counties in Middle Georgia. I'm going to Hawkinsville.
Yeah.
Not nothing against Hawkinsville.
World
but
traveler.
Yeah, well, like I was,
Still doing economic development.
Still doing helping them develop there. At that time, the focus, Governor Perdue's office was focusing on small business entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And so I was working with a lot of the governments and helping them create their small business packages, and how do they incentivize small businesses, assist small businesses, and doing that. And I've done that so well that I was working with the governments, working with local elected officials. I thought I could be an elected official. And so I ran for city council here in Macon.
I did not know that.
No.
Yes. In a 3-person race, came in third.
Damn.
Yes. So, but I was young. It was a great experience. I was on the campaign trail with then candidate Robert Rickard.
Okay.
And so got to know him, because we were doing all these forums and everything. And so got to spend time with him and everything. And so when he won, he asked me would I come onto his staff. And so I was, he hired me as director of internal affairs, where then I would work and be his liaison with city council. And so that was my first job here in Macon, in the Rickard administration. And from there, I've had a few positions, and it led me to where I am today as county manager. And so it's been a wild ride from growing up here.
Yes.
Not knowing that this was going to be a dream of mine.
What a resume.
Yep.
That's, yeah. And then there were some other jobs that you didn't.
Well, I left for 2 years and was the county administrator in Butts County.
Yeah.
When we consolidated to grow my leadership experience, I took the position as an E911 director, and that was a worthwhile experience, learning more about the public safety sector, managing a very intense operation. Very proud. During my tenure there, we were named 911 Center of the Year for the state of Georgia.
Holla.
So that was a very nice accomplishment. From there, I went to Butts County for 2 years, and then the position opened up here in Macon, and I was blessed enough to come back home.
What was that, 2018?
Yes, 2018.
Fun fact, I interviewed Keith when he got that job back. I was at 41 NBC, just a
Yes.
young old little
Yes.
journalist.
There you go. There
That's
you
how I
go.
met Dr. Moffett. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
Yes.
How the turntables.
Yes. I enjoy working for you.
Aw. He said that on the record. You
Yes,
guys.
he did.
Write that down.
There we go.
So what exactly does a county manager do? I guess no.
That-
Do you not do?
Well,
because you do it all.
But that is a great question, and when I try to explain it to friends and families,
Yeah.
people really don't know, and I'm amazed because you would think county, the local government manager, you would think that it explains itself, but it does not. And so I have to tell people, one of the things that I am over all the operations of the county, and we say all operations, all the departments that are outside of the 4 constitutional officers and elected officials. And so that is, we adopted the phrase complexity, diversity, and volume. There's about 23 departments. So I have 23 department heads that report to me. And my job is to make sure they have the resources to do their job in their particular field of expertise. From that, we manage their budgets, we manage the allocation of the resources, and then we manage the workflow processes that comes with the job of their department. So that was very technical. But to say in simple terms, we just take care of the day-to-day of the county, mostly what citizens need to happen. So when I made the joke earlier about people fussing at me during the day, is normally a citizen calls in and say, hey, this tree or this cat or this car or, or storm, just anything. And so because it's anything, even if it's not under my umbrella, we have those partnerships with the other agencies, whether it's the school board dealing with a child, whether it's water, dealing with the water authority or storm water. People call the county, which remember we're consolidated, so it's really the city. So people call the city because that's all we know. That's what we learned from television. I'm going to call my mayor. I'm going to call, my commissioner. And from there, I'm the one that they call because it's my job to make it happen. So when I first took office 5 years ago, at that time, the budget was the primary issue we were dealing with. We were coming through consolidation where we had to minimize the budget, and therefore we had to reallocate a lot of resources. The biggest resource that we have is employees. 80% of the budget is employees and their benefits. And so without employees, we can't do our jobs. Nope. And if we can't pay employees, we don't have employees. So we were, struggling with doing that. And 5 years later, things have greatly improved. And now we have, some of the best employees, I think, in the nation, in the state. But we are struggling. We do know that customer service is a loss. Customer service is struggling as a whole. And when I say that is that majority of my calls come in is that somebody will call a department and they don't get the answer that they want. And it's not that we can't do the answer. Sometimes we just don't communicate it correctly. And so I spend a lot of time talking to citizens, explaining to them, hey, this is the process. The person that answered the phone could have explained it that way. But, when a citizen's mad because something didn't happen, they don't really want to hear that.
Yeah.
And so when it gets to my level, policy didn't fix it, procedure didn't fix it. So I spend a lot of time telling people, this is the process. This is the things that we have allocated to fix it. Before I came down here, someone was calling me about the right-of-way, overgrown right-of-ways. We have a calendar how we mow things around the county. But grass grows,
Yeah.
and grass does not grow on a, well, it does grow on a calendar, but this particular, with all the rain we've had, grass is growing fast. And so we can't get to mowing it as fast as some people would like. And I do understand it is a hazard. When you're pulling up and you can't see, that is a hazard. And that's on the county. Somebody has to take responsibility for it. And so we are responsible for maintaining the right of ways. And so, I had to explain to the citizen, hey, I will move this particular area up on the calendar, but just know it wasn't that we did it intentional. Grass just grew faster than we can get back to it.
Yeah.
So that was the phone call I took right before I came down here.
How many phone calls do you have a day?
It varies, but
What's your average?
A lot. And I would tell people, one thing that I try to be is be accessible. So I'd probably give people my cell phone number. It is a county phone, so it is their phone. So I give people my cell phone number. If you can't reach me via my phone, you can text me, or you can just call down here to City Hall and they will transfer you to me. But my job is to put you in contact with the right person. And so it's not that I'm pushing you off to call somebody else, but I try to let the department handle it first before it gets to my level. And it works for the most part because, most people understand it's a process and they just want an answer and a time that is going to be fixed. And, once we give that to them, things go pretty smooth. Now, one thing that I do have is I have a great communications team. And
tell us more.
Yes. And that communications team, once we identify that, hey, we need to maybe put this out to the public or run a story on it, even do a video. I mean, the communications team, they knock it out the park. And when we identify ways we can better communicate, because that's I said 80% of the budget is employees. I think the other 80% of my job is communicating to the citizens, and y'all do a great job in helping us do that. So
Thanks. Well, I was going to say you're like a telephone operator, but that's not what you do.
No.
I mean, that's just part of it, and I mean that takes a big portion of your day.
Right. Well, the big part is being a good steward of the tax dollars, because everything we do deals with money. And so just making sure that we are spending money appropriately. Because I'll tell you, I saw a city employee, it's like when you're driving down the street and you see workers working and that guy that's sitting on the side on his cell phone. Yeah. People call and complain about that. I'm paying my tax dollars and they just sitting there playing on their phone. And so I have to figure out, okay, is he on a break or is it just a break in the work and things of that nature? But at the same time, employees are going to do that, and you need to, director, you need to tell your employees they need to be working.
Yeah.
So deal with some of that. So not just being a telephone operator, but it is managing people. I tell everybody, I work with a lot of politicians. I love my politicians. I love the employees, but I say a lot of time, it's like a degree in child psychology sometimes, because when people are mad, they are mad, and it is their issue.
Well, and you've got your own family at home, which is a big family. Yeah. You have a beautiful family. And so but then you've got your family county. Like, I mean, you're dealing with siblings and they're, not agreeing. And, how do you.
And I spend more time with the work family than anything.
Yeah.
And I laugh because, majority of my staff is, well, HR, I'll probably get in trouble of saying this, but majority of my staff is women, and not just women, but very intelligent.
I was going to say, choose your words carefully.
Yes. But I don't have to choose the words. This is a fact. I work with some of the most intelligent alpha personality women in the world. But because of them, I get to say I'm successful. And the men on my staff too, but some of my department heads, led by women, they keep me in line, and so because of them, I get to taunt a lot of success because of my staff, and I'm very grateful. But again, they are strong personalities, strong will, but they know their job. They are highly intelligent, and I just can't appreciate them enough.
And that's the thing. I think 23 departments. A lot of people look at city and county governments, and they kind of just look at City Hall and like kind of see what we consider the mayor's office hall.
Right.
But really, there's so much more that we're overseeing. Sort of tell us about some of the departments and what are your most common issues that you might have come up from paved roads to... Well,
let's start with the number one department. I am in the mayor's office, so that is the number one department. And I remind Mayor Miller, sometimes I just ask him, have you met my boss? I mean, because
Everything was done yesterday.
Yes, he is very passionate. He loves this city. I mean, because I have direct access to him, he texts 24 hours a day. I mean, he sees anything. He's driving down the street. He sees something. He sends it to me. Hey, this bag of trash on the side of the road, or this sign is out of place. I mean, he loves this city. His attention to detail. And so that's my number one department is the mayor. Not just the mayor's department, but my number one department is the mayor. And so he is what the young people say, he's a ride or die about Macon.
Yeah.
He is dedicated to Macon.
Didn't he just tell us the other day that we need to do more
Oh,
we've been doing more?
Yes.
I mean, it's and like I said, I joke. I said, have you met my boss? I mean, he is like, hey, we got to make y'all a communication team. Y'all put stuff out every day. Y'all are making announcements every day. And he literally said, man, we haven't done anything lately.
Yeah.
We almost fell out our chair. We were like, okay. But that's the level of commitment that he requires of us. That's the level of passion he requires. And that's the level he wants us running. And so, and because of that, we have that excitement. So number one department, the mayor's office. From there, we have I call my services department, the ones that deal with the public, economic community development, recreation, which is huge when we think about what we try to do for the youth of this community. We have the various rec centers, each one of them and spread out through the community. We have our we have active parks and passive parks. Again, that goes to that quality of life we talk about. At our passive parks where people rent them out and they do, cookouts, family events, and then the more active parks where, you have the youth sports, even the adult sports. And then outside of the sports, we have the Urban Development Authority. We just had the major mall renovation where now pickleball is one of the growing sports. And so the services department, then we have our internal departments with HR, finance, legal, procurement, because, we buy a lot of stuff. And we have to buy stuff through regulations. And so keeping up with those regulations and the legal department with the contract, scope of services. Fortunately and unfortunately, when we took office, we kind of downsized the department with the solid waste because we outsourced the collection, but we still maintain the landfill. So I'm directly responsible for that department. We're in transition with our IT department as we look for a new director. So I've been handling that. And we had a very interesting summer with our IT and everything, because for the most part, we think about IT, information technology, the world of cyber and everything that goes on. The only thing we want is to push the button and it works.
Yes.
We don't care anything about
hey, my Wi-Fi is not working.
There you go.
Like,
Chaos. We can't send an email.
Yeah.
We don't care anything about all the behind the scenes stuff that has to happen with that. And so that department is, when you think about an overworked department, that IT department
shout out to IT.
Is overworked, but again, they get the job done. And because when you push the button, your email goes. When you push that button, that file is saved. But, where it's saved at in the cloud, everything's in the cloud now. So I've learned so much more about IT and that world of AI. One thing we think about the communication scene. Are we going to start using AI to get our message out there? These little chat boxes and, that's something y'all need to think about.
We have been talking about it. I mean, we use AI sometimes just to come up with captions and different things like that. But there's more efficient ways to use AI throughout many jobs.
I want to keep my job, though, so I'm not going to turn to AI just yet.
But, I would.
I know, you could work efficient. Yes, I know.
I went to a dinner last night. That was the subject, AI, and how it is transforming it. But that is the fear that we think it is going to take jobs. But jobs are just going to change.
Yeah, no, that for sure.
Yep.
So we're in a unique situation with being a consolidated government. And so do you think that kind of makes things a little bit more challenging, or do you, as far as not, let me backtrack a little bit. I didn't like that I said that. I don't want to set him up for people bashing consolidation.
Well, let me take it and run with it. Consolidation to me equals efficiency. Whether it's challenging or not, it's more efficient because I was there prior to consolidation. And the beautiful thing about Macon-Bibb is that we did only have one city and one county, where, Georgia is this unique, where we got 159 counties because there had to be a horse ride between county offices or something, whatever the story is, to get us 159 imaginary lines on the ground. So you have some counties that have 5 or 7 cities where you really have to get all 6 people around the table working together. And so Macon was in a situation we had 1 county, 1 city, and so the debate around the table was very intense, but it was easy because it was just 2 people debating
Back and forth.
and it really was where, I don't know, one entity paid for libraries at $300,000. The other entity paid for rec at $7 million. So what was the efficiencies in that and the fairness of it? And so when we consolidated, we went to one structure, one taxing structure throughout the community. No more pointing the finger, oh, that's the city problem, that's the county problem. And so now we are more efficient. Yes, do we still have challenges? Yes, but we had those challenges before. But now, because of how we're set up, we're better able to address those challenges. And whether you were for consolidation or not, it's 10 years down the road. And I challenge anybody to say that the challenges are not better, that we really have become more efficient. We really have become more streamlined. And 10 years later, we still got some things to work out because, there's still history there. There's still systems that were in place prior to consolidation that we still hadn't phased out. But as time goes on, we are getting to that point. So I understand your question because you do have some people that, still want to jump on that bandwagon, consolidation, this and that. But I'm in the chair and I can tell you we are in a better place because we did consolidate.
Just from our perspective, I like we meet with communicators from all across the nation. And so we hear kind of their perspectives too of well, you're a city communicator and then you've got a county communicator. So it works for I personally, I like consolidation. I was asking as far as, being county manager, because, cities have city administrators and stuff like that. So you're kind of just all of that in one.
Right.
But it works for you.
It does. That imaginary line does not exist. Now we do have the imaginary lines of districts because we do have commissioners and they do represent a district. But I remind commissioners, it's one community. And, by trying to put one district above another one, that'll never work. But each district does have some unique needs. Each district does have some unique characteristics that you address a little differently. But at the same time, we make a conscious effort to make sure that we're being fair as we apply resources throughout the county.
I was just going to say, we talk a lot about work and stuff, but what are you doing when you're not answering the phone? Although
does that time exist?
I was going to say, maybe Melinda might disagree. She's he's always on the phone, right?
Yeah. Well, no, because when I get home, I really do try to disconnect. I really do. And I tell people anything, if it's really important, they have Melinda's number. So, so if they really need me and I don't answer, they know to call Melinda. And but the thing that, we have we laugh, we have our guilty pleasures that I call the ID channel, investigate discovery.
You're a crime junkie.
Yes, I'm a crime junkie. I went from being a huge sci-fi junkie to now I'm a crime junkie. And I we just watch those shows,
Same.
And because it's amazing. Just the sheer level of the shows of people that know each other, been together, and just the things people do to each other, and then how they solve them. I'm just amazed at how our public safety sector really solves crimes and everything. So when I'm not working, I'm probably watching one of those shows.
Have you gotten into crime podcasts?
Yes.
That's what. Yeah, I'm constantly listening.
And I don't know if it's because I'm older now. Because listening to a podcast in the car, I thought that was for old people, but I listen to the news and podcasts now. So.
Hey, we've got a great demo. Those listening, he is not calling y'all old.
You're not old.
You're not old. I listen to podcasts.
You look beautiful.
I just never thought that would be me, but I am. I'm definitely the podcast person now.
Nice. And how about your family? You've got we talked a little bit about that.
Four kids, all grown, 2 girls, both in Athens. One is finishing her PhD. The other one just finished her master's. And 2 boys, each have started their family. So each son has a child. So I have 2 grandkids, ages 8 and 6. The 8-year-old's a boy, 6-year-old's a girl, and they are very active. The little girl is, I laugh all the time. I think she's been here before. She,
One of those. Yeah.
she was a highly intelligent, runs the family, all girly girl. And he is 100% a true boy, doing all the little nasty boy stuff they do and everything. But it's a joy watching them. They come over to the house and, I just watch them tear the house up and then I send them home. And so, I am I'm Papa Doc, and
That's cute.
And Melinda's Mimi. And so we are the coolest grandparents ever. Because we're still young.
You guys are. I was going to say you're too young to be grandparents.
I ain't in the club like I used to be, but still a cool grandparent. So, but take them to get ice cream and things like that. So, but that's what we think about. Making sure that there are things in the community because those are things I need to do. I need to be able to go to Central City Park with my grandkids and just let them run around in a safe, clean, wholesome environment, Tatnall Square, Amerson Park, the playgrounds, things of that nature. Also, we mentioned Melinda's name a few times, but again, another highly intelligent alpha personality that does not mind telling me about myself and does not mind calling me when she sees something in the community. So between the mayor and his family and my family calling me about what you gonna do about that or what you gonna do about that, it keekeeps me pretty busy, which is why I love to go home and put my phone to the side and watch a good old murder mystery.
I love that. I think people forget too that, because we work in government, but we live here. I live over on the east side too. Like I care about the roads and do I wish this road was paved, yesterday? Absolutely. But I also I get that cool perspective of being on the inside and seeing our public works and everybody in these departments, they work so hard.
Yeah. And I would tell people, they see me in the grocery store. Oh man, I hate to bother you. Okay.
But here you are.
You may be bothering me, but I don't mind because at the end of the day, I call it job security.
Yeah.
And they are amazed. And I don't know, whatever we have about this perception that, if I call or complain, that's a bad thing. And I hate to even use the word complain because there's a level where it does become complaining, but making me aware of an issue is not complaining.
Yeah.
And especially if it's some, what I call that low-hanging fruit that I can fix very easily. Oh, like that right away, cutting the right away. If I can pick up the phone and call a department head and say, hey, go cut that. I mean, that makes me a hero. And that citizens feels like, okay, my voice was heard. And that's what we do. That's what the elected officials do. I tell them all the time, give me that low-hanging fruit. When a citizen calls you, call me immediately. If it's something we can easily pick up the phone and address, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
You can't be everywhere at once either.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing. Biggest pet peeve, too, is like seeing it, like people complain on social media or something. But it's like, but did you call anybody?
Yeah.
Call us.
Yeah. And if we get it wrong, we get it wrong. I mean, we have a great program called Secret Fix. And yes, it is employees that are monitoring and doing the work. But if you feel like that complaint has been out there for an extended period of time, there's nothing wrong with calling it. Take it to the next level because it's a lot of work. And sometimes, what they say, what y'all young people say? The greasy wheel gets the
squeaky
wheel gets
the grease.
Yeah, that may be old, but I don't know. I'm gonna use it. But again, that's what government is. Government is of the people, and I'm sorry, government. I'm hitting the thing. Government is of the people, and the only way you get that done is speak up.
Yep.
I mean, that is what government is. I mean, I'm sorry, it is who you Sometimes it is who you know.
And we talked about a lot of these kind of like small things and Secret Fix and some of those little things that, you need to speak up about. But you've been working in government for a while now. And I know it's going to be hard to narrow it down to one. But tell us about like maybe your top 3 favorite projects since you've been in Macon. I mean, I know you talked about coming from being a kid, going across the river to go to the mall. Like what are your top 3 projects that really like made you proud?
Mayor Miller came in with a vision, and he worked the deal out with the mall. And the mall is a project by itself, but he came in with a vision for that amphitheater, and he made it happen. I mean, that amphitheater was built in 18 months, And when we think about the big quality of life things, you go to Atlanta for a show or something like that. You can do that right here in Macon. And at the end of the show, you're home in 10 minutes. I mean, that was a monumental accomplishment that when people see that amphitheater, and it's an artist that they've been dreaming to see. And, we've had about, 10 good shows there this summer. And, people are just happy. And so the amphitheater is something this community is definitely proud of. As a county manager, that's not really county operations, but, we had a little, piece of it. And, we're just immensely proud. And it's only going to get better. As the word gets out among the singing circuit or the music industry circuit, as word get out among people, every show I've met people from out of state that have come here that say it was easy for them to get the tickets, Macon, come here, get a hotel room, stay at night, and go from that standpoint. So very proud of that. The next one is very proud of the fact that 5 years ago, the budget was in, what's the word you used earlier, challenges. We had some challenges, and now, we're winning awards for our budget. We just got our bond rating, credit rating. Yeah. We just got another high level, third year in a row. We've gone up. Yep.
From an A-.
There you go. So every year our credit rating is improving. So that's telling us that we're doing great things with our revenues, collecting and spending money correctly. And as county manager, my main thing is to keep expenses down. And so that tells me that we're doing it from that standpoint. But that's behind the scenes stuff. The stuff that people see, I think, are the different projects that we have out there with our roads. The mayor came in with, Clean Street Matters, blight, taking down houses. Those are things that people are seeing and commenting on. But we still have a long ways to go. Like I say, part of what I told you is, litter patrols, because, I was driving down the street the other day and it was just a bag of trash laying there. And my wife, I was like, I don't understand. Well, maybe it fell off the truck. Oh, well, somebody riding with a bag of trash on the truck. But again, for whatever reason, but we still have those small things that when people are coming in, especially on our major highways that coming into the city, we want them to see
those gateways are
the
important.
Gateway. We want them to see a clean gateway. And so those are things that those will be my top three: amphitheater, the budget, and having a clean community.
Love it.
And it's all about, too, like, we love this community. Again, goes back to, we are, residents and citizens here, too, and it's amazing. Is there, before we let you go, because I know we've been chatting a while, but I could sit here and talk to Keith all day. But we know he has phone calls to answer and get back to. What are you looking forward to here in, like, the next year or two?
Well, one thing that we've tried to consciously do is make sure that we are hitting every segment of the community, north, south, east, west, downtown. And so we do have major initiatives that are underway in each segment. Yeah. The amphitheater is over what we call west, but west is, it's kind of relative. But so we're looking at a major project in Lake Tobesofsky. We're looking at a major project over in East Macon, over by the Coliseum. North Macon, of course, around the Bass Road area. There's some developments coming up there. And then north, south, east, west. Covered. And then downtown with Newtown and everything that's going on there. So we have projects on the table. So when you were mentioning last week, the mayor was saying, "Oh, what are we doing?" We said we just had this whole strategic plan. Well, we outlined about 15 different things that are in the pipeline. But that is the projects. Most excited next year is still streamlining county operations. We have an opportunity coming up with the next SPLOS. We've talked about increasing our road paving program. And so that could be a huge internal project from that regard. Again, trying to do more things for the employees with our benefits package. Last year we did some pay adjustments across the board. But we do know we still need to go back and look at some positions and try to equalize that. We need to do some more training to help employees grow professionally as we try to minimize some jobs, because jobs are changing, as we try to increase some departments.
Macon is a gigantic puzzle, and every piece fits together, and everyone's working together. And you're kind of like the puzzle master who's got all the departments underneath you there. But
and it's about how you communicate
Yeah.
that puzzle because, you know, a lot of times we have a couple of, you know, well, I'm doing that also. And maybe only needs to be one person doing it. Or we identify a gap that nobody is doing it. And so those are things that I think that over the next year, that as we evolve, I think that I want to get better at and making sure that we have those things in place, that we're having those conversations.
Yeah. Well, I think you do a great job of having those conversations too with people that don't get to the honor of working with you. I can say firsthand is that we have, you know, I know you're a busy man, but we can have quick conversations, and you do personally check in. How is everything going? How is, and I've seen you do that with other employees too, and I think that's really important. And it starts with having a leader that cares, and we're very fortunate to have a leader that cares.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Well, like I say, it is the dream. It is the dream. I get to come to work every day and work with some great people, and you know, it's a joy. You know, it's only been one day I think I can remember where I kind of dreaded coming to work.
Oh gosh.
It's only been one day, but that was because of just politics and stuff that was going on. But outside of that, every day it's been a joy to pull up here and, you know, to see this bright, shiny building. And, you know, just that's the other thing, too, because when I talk about volume and diversity, complexity, you may come in thinking this is what I'm going to work on today.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
there's no such thing as a plan.
There's no such thing as a plan. So no such thing, is it?
All that to say, too, we are hiring. So if you guys want to be part of the team, head over to Macon-Bibb.us and look for a position. We're constantly looking for somebody to join our family.
And I would tell anybody, again, that's one of those situations where if you're qualified, I would never tell a department head who to hire.
Yeah.
But if you are qualified, I would definitely tell them to interview you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because that's one thing that I think somehow some applications may not make it through or whatever. But if you're out there and you know you're qualified for this position and you feel like you didn't get an interview or something, let me know, because I will definitely get you the interview, because we need all good people. We need to look at all good people. Now, I've never tell a department head who to hire, because then I'm responsible for that person. Even when it comes to my family, I'm not even doing it, because they may be crazy at the end of the day, and I'm not having you come in. You told me to hire that crazy person. Well,
Or maybe they want to know more information,
Yes.
you know, about a certain role and stuff. We are all more, and you know who, you know, hey, maybe pick up the phone and talk to so-and-so,
Right.
and you can learn a little bit more, or, you know, all that. So I think it's awesome.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for
Well,
joining
thank
us. This has
you.
been great. Living the dream here with Dr. Keith Moffett.
All right.